and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your co-host Reynoso, here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
Netherlands, man. We're gonna talk about the Netherlands, man.
Do we have to?
I think we got to, because this is one of the most, I would say, historic teams in this tournament, man.
My God.
They've been here since 1934, man.
Oh, wait, really?
The second World Cup
okay.
was when they first made their first World Cup appearance. They've been here 11 times. That in itself is a lot, man. I think anything over 10 is a lot for these nations, and Netherlands has found a niche when it comes to the World Cup, having an incredible history. Just to go through it real quick, in 1934 and 1938, round of 16 exits. Then 1974 comes, second place. With second place,
Okay.
man, with them losing 2-1 against West Germany in the final. 4 years pass and they're thinking, you know what, could we do it again? Can we make a finals run? And they do, man. They do.
Jesus.
1978, they lose 3-1 against Argentina.
Oh,
Argentina.
two back-to-back final losses?
Back-to-back final
That's
losses, man.
terrible.
That's something that I think only the Netherlands can say, man.
Yeah.
Like they have a history with coming in second, and that's got to be tough to endure as a fan.
A little cursed, maybe.
Can you imagine like an 80-year-old, 90-year-old Netherlands fan, like what he's gone through?
I've seen us get so close.
1990 didn't get close, round of 16 exit. 1994 quarterfinal exit. Moving on to 1998, all the way to fourth place. Lost in that semifinal match. So once again, that in my opinion
Still,
is
though,
pretty close.
That's so far deep in the tournament.
Yeah, that's a special place. 2006, they had a round of 16 exit. Then 2010 comes, and they find themselves facing off against a Spanish tiki-taka style team and losing in second yet again for the third time in their history, bro. Third time.
Robin could have been a hero.
Robin could have been a hero,
been
man.
a Dutch
Hero,
legend.
golden opportunity.
Yeah.
And once again, they fell short. That's
insane.
That's got to sting. 2014 comes, and that same team is basically back at it again, trying to avenge their past demons, and they get so close yet again, man, with the third place finish, losing against Argentina in penalties. That Messi-led Argentina team that went to the finals and lost to Germany. So that's Netherlands, man.
It's a hell of a history.
That is a hell of a history. 2018 comes and it's complete disappointment.
Yeah.
They don't make the tournament. And that in itself was crazy to me at the time. I know that they didn't have the talent to do it, but just the fact that Netherlands wasn't at the 2018 World Cup was bizarre. Bizarre, because up to that point, I'd basically seen them every World Cup, 2006, 2010, 2014. 2018 comes and they're nowhere to be seen, man.
Yeah.
That classic orange jersey is just gone, and it's good to have them back now in 2022 here in Qatar. They qualified by winning first in Group G, a group that had Turkey and Erling Haaland's Norway in it. They had a 7-win, 2-draw, 1-loss record, so pretty impressive overall. With that, they found themselves in Group A of the World Cup with Ecuador, Qatar, and Senegal. One of the funnest groups in this tournament. Netherlands will be spearheading that group, attempting to get first place and getting out of there. And so that's what Netherlands has going into this tournament, man. They have all that history. They have an impressive qualifying campaign. And not just that, Nations League, they have been absolutely dominating with a group that consists of Poland, Wales, and Belgium. They've made it look like cake, man. Like cake. In my opinion, Netherlands is the most informed European team, and you could put them up there in the top 3 of the world with Argentina and Brazil, who are basically undefeated. Netherlands is right there with that incredible, impressive record so far, winning so many games, getting so many results, and just showing that they're ready to show up to this tournament, and they're in some great form heading into it.
I mean, yeah, man, based off of form, the players they have at hand, the style of football that they play, for me, the Netherlands are the dark horse of this tournament. But it's kind of funny because in the past 2 World Cups that they've been a part of, they also, in my opinion, were dark horses. They've never been touted as the team to go all the way. But as you just put throughout their history, they make deep-ass runs, man. Yeah. And that's just what they're really good at. But before we get into any sort of squad analysis, man, for 2022,
Absolutely.
The Netherlands make me feel weird inside, man. They give me a weird, fuzzy feeling.
Whoa.
But not in a good way.
Okay.
Not in a good way, man. Just based off of history and the World Cups that I've seen, so 2010 and 2014, the Netherlands have destroyed my dreams. just by chance. Just so happens that the teams that I rooted for in 2010 and 2014 eventually met the Dutch late into the tournament, only to meet a sad and sorrowful fate.
Talking to a Mexico fan, bro.
Exactly, and that's the thing. For me, it's not even about that game. That's just icing on the cake. That no era penal situation is just icing on the cake. In 2010, I was so high on that Uruguay team. So high. Diego Forlan made me understand the beauty of football, going all the way to the semifinals only to face just a Dutch team that if you played that game, Uruguay, Netherlands 10 times, the Netherlands probably would win 9 out of 10. Uruguay were just not as good as them, and that Dutch team in 2010 were good, man. I mean, a Robin chance away from lifting the World Cup trophy, man. That team was incredible. Uruguay were really good, really, really good, but that Dutch team was so talented, man. And then in 2014, obviously in that build-up, big Costa Rica fan. Seeing Costa Rica go through their rise from 2011 all the way up to 2014, qualifying in style, having the group of their life, going into the round of 16, beating Greece, and then taking the Netherlands to penalties. And then it just so happened that the Netherlands just were going to be the ones that knock out the only team that I had any sort of passion for in 2014. And that's just how history has gone for me. Anytime the Netherlands are in a World Cup, even though the sample size is small, they fuck me over. It's just what they do.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
They're brutal.
They're brutal.
They're brutal
Yeah,
about
they're brutal.
it.
They're a machine, man. They really are. And they just do it in a sort of physical style that you're just like, shit, this team's good, man. They're tough to beat. I'm scared when I have to play against the Netherlands. And they're just a really good team. And I think you can say that going into 2022. They are the dark horse, in my opinion. And we'll get to that later on. But man, it is tough for me to look at this Netherlands team with an unbiased set of eyes, man. It is tough for me. The way I live my life, the way that I view football is through an unbiased lens. It's what I try to do at the very least, right? I try to just make sure I'm as unbiased as I can be, and I look at both sides. Even if I don't really like Barcelona, for example, I still got to see what they have and appreciate the football that they can play. And when they play good, I got to give them their credit. It is really hard for me to do that for the Netherlands, man, because my initial reaction when I see that Dutch orange, brother, is fuck them.
Trauma.
It's trauma. It's like, those Dutch bastards. Yeah. If I'm ever in Amsterdam, I'm going to grab as many orange jerseys as I can and burn them, man.
Burn them, yeah.
That is my initial reaction to seeing that orange color on the pitch. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for me. But then I have to remind myself, Soltero, take a step
Remember
back.
who you are at the core,
Remember
brother.
who I am.
Who are you at the core?
Yeah, exactly. Why do we even like football in the first place? Well, because it's the most beautiful sport in the world.
But you can't remove emotion, brother. You can't.
But sometimes you can, and I try to. I definitely try to. So for the rest of this analysis, I will absolutely do that. For me, this Dutch squad is so goddamn talented, man. And for me, it starts in that midfield. The fluidity and mobility of this midfield, I think, can pretty much unlock any defense. It's not necessarily star-studded, but for me, it's perfectly balanced, and it starts with the silkiness of Frankie de Jong, man. A mobile player can unlock any defense with just a single pass, but what I love about de Jong, man, is just a byproduct of what he does. He's just looking for an open guy. He's looking for open space. And maybe he's a little cheeky about it, but also he's just really good at finding the exact guy that's open on the pitch. And then from there, even if it's like the simplest of passes, he makes it look easy. Then from there, the Netherlands just go off. They're open, off to the races, whether it's Depay in space, maybe Berghuis, Bergwijn. And then from there, that Netherlands offense and midfield just link up and combine, bro.
Dude, Frankie de Jong's ability to break lines stands out to me so much.
Yeah.
You see with Barcelona, at times he's often the most reliable player when it comes to finding a source to generate opportunities. So many times he just finds himself past that midfield block, now looking for those passes that you just mentioned, but it's because he's able to get by these players seamlessly, man. He plays with mayonnaise on him, man. He is a silky, smooth, buttery player, bro. You can't catch him. You can't. I swear his jersey has to have some sort of substance on it because players get trapped trying to defend him, man. Yeah. It's an incredible thing to see. You put him in this Dutch squad where he has some really good offensive options up front if needed, and Memphis Depay or Bergwijn, he's going to have a great time, man. He can look to his left or to his right and see that there's basically that same level of quality around him. And so all in all, like you said, it makes for a really good midfield mix.
To kind of better define what I'm characterizing De Jong as is that, sure, he's creative, but that's not his number one job to do on the pitches, man. He's not in advanced positions, always looking for that through ball, always looking for that dink over the top. That's not his style of play. He obviously can't do that, but what I love about De Jong is how deep lying he is, man, or how deep lying he can be. And then from there, he's kind of like a quarterback, honestly. Just nice long passes, or even if it's short, his decision making in the middle of the park for me is elite. And like you said, he really is untouchable once he's on the ball. So he can give you so many different points of attack just by him being on the pitch.
Dude, yeah, he's like a Lamar Jackson. Like he can run the ball or he can throw it.
Yeah,
he can do both. He can do both like incredible.
Exactly.
And that's what De Jong is. He can do both. And it's just like, it makes for such a great player in that midfield for Netherlands to have. But then in regards to De Jong, who do you think is going to end up starting alongside him?
Yeah, so I use the word complete midfield for Netherlands, and the reason why is because you have a creative type, silky player in De Jong, as we've said before, but then you can pair him with an aggressor, whether it's Martin de Roon, Koopmeiners, both plying their trade at Atalanta, two soldiers out on that pitch who will do whatever they're commanded to do. They do not shy away from any sort of tackle, but kind of as you preface, dude, they're also really good on the ball, man. Using their body, shielding and protecting the ball, but then also releasing, whether it's to Depay or to their strikers or out wide to Dumfries or Blind, man. These midfielders are very, very talented and good at finding space. And when you have a creator like De Jong and you pair him with an aggressor like De Roon or Koopmeiners, or maybe you do a little bit more silkiness with Klaassen, Davy Klaassen. Yeah. There's a lot of options that Van Gaal can go here with. But at the end of the day, whether he goes with De Roon or Koopmeiners, which I think he ultimately will, it'll be one of those two players. It's going to be a really talented midfield, and a midfield that can hold onto the ball, possess it, but also find space and attack pretty much any defense.
Dude, it's incredible. Like often people talk about the quality of a Spanish midfielder, right? But I feel like it's kind of gone under the radar. The quality of a Dutch midfielder, man. These players come from a long line of Dutch midfielders that have just been really technically sound, really good on the ball, and everything that you just stated. And I feel like these guys are just an example of that. But what's amazing about this team is that you're right, with De Roon or Koopmeiners potentially starting alongside him, there's so much depth though. We haven't even mentioned names like Berghaus. We haven't even mentioned a name like Gini Wijnaldum, who isn't in his best shape, but there was a time where he was one of the best players for Netherlands during the World Cup qualification. Actually scoring a lot of goals and being a clinical part of the team. Of course, he's in the best form anymore. I think he actually has like an injury.
He's injured, man.
So like, it sucks because I actually do think he has a role in this team if he's at full health and at his top form. But regardless, it's just a sign of a theme that we're going to continue seeing for the Netherlands, which is incredible depth when it comes to these positions.
Right in front of those two pivot midfielders, you definitely, and I think Van Gaal likes to do, kind of put a more attacking, truly attacking midfielder. Recently, I think he's been going with Gakpo, a dynamic midfielder.
Oh my God.
Box to box, just incredibly dynamic. But also you can use maybe a little bit more craft in Steven Berghaus, absolutely, who's done so well at Feyenoord and now at Ajax. So there's a lot of creativity that can be utilized on this pitch for the Netherlands, man. It's really impressive, but it all goes with the same theme of this Dutch team is very technically sound. Kind of as you said, right, the Spanish midfield are very technical, but low key, man, these Dutch players are just as technical, but in a slightly different way, obviously being brought up as Dutch and going through the Eredivisie for most of these players. Because in front of these three midfielders, Van Gaal likes to go with mobile type forwards. I mean, he's using Memphis Depay almost on like in a false nine position. Depay ain't no striker, man, but obviously he's a forward. Pairing him alongside Bergwijn, you get almost two false nines up top for this Dutch team. But for me, it goes perfectly with the style of play of De Jong or Gakpo, for example. Because at that point, Depay or Bergwijn drop deep, they cut him inside. You'll have your wingbacks making deep runs into the opponent's box, man. So even if you sacrifice a number 9 coming deep, you have so many different options going forward. And for me, that's the name of the game for this Dutch team is link-up play. combination, because the way Van Gaal's setting up this team, it isn't to have exact roles on the pitch. He pretty much allows all of the midfielders and the forwards to have a good amount of freedom to kind of roam around this pitch, to get the ball, look for it, and make a lot of runs, man, because every single player has that ability to just find a man in space.
We mentioned wingbacks. To me, one of the biggest certainties is that Daley Blind is starting on the left.
Oh, yeah.
And then Denzel Dumfries on the right.
Denzel
Washington Dumfries, man. I say that because he's a performer, man. He's a performer. Shows up on the big stage, and he's been making a name for himself, plying his trade at Inter Milan for years now. Still a relatively young player. I think it's like 24, 25.
Yeah, dude, I saw that. I was like, good God.
Dude, it feels like he's been around for a decade, man. But you're right. They're going to be providing incredible service up top.
Yeah.
Daley Blind, I think, is such an experienced, high IQ type of player.
Exactly.
And with him being at Ajax, I actually want to mention a quick point that, we talk about how technically gifted these Dutch players are, but I also think like an underlying factor for why they've been so successful in the past few months is their chemistry. There's something to be said about a lot of these players playing for Ajax, man. Because Daley Blind's going to be on the left side, and then he's going to be able to hand the ball off to Bergwijn, who is just now at Ajax as well. You look at the back line, there's Ajax players there. You look in the midfield, there's Ajax players there. There's a number of players that play on the same team. Potentially the goalkeeper that are playing on the same team. That to me, ultimately, it has to be a good thing. That has to. You look up top, and I do think they're going to end up going with a deadly duo type of attack with Memphis and Bergwijn. You still have an option with potentially Weghorst, Malen from Dortmund, the youngin.
Yeah.
But something I do want to kind of key in on, because we didn't mention him. He's been so prominent on the scene, just kind of really like rising this year. Gakpo.
Yeah.
Dude, he's like, numbers wise, he's like in the top 5 in Europe. And that's with names like Haaland, Neymar, Messi. Gakpo has found himself in that conversation right now, given it's in the Dutch league.
That's the thing.
But it's still somewhat notable at the very least.
Yeah.
Do you think what's happened with him at PSV right now is worthy of a starting position on this team?
Yeah, I do think so. I think Gakpo will at least be in the option to start. Whether he actually starts, I'm not sure, because I know Van Gaal does kind of like that experience. For example, picking players like Daley Blind, right?
Yeah.
A guy who does exactly what is told to do. And I know Van Gaal really appreciates that, especially if you couple it with good technique. For Gakpo, it's going to be more of an X factor type of display, in the sense that, do you really know what he can do on the pitch against elite defenses? I'm going to say not really.
We don't really know.
We don't really know. Obviously, we've seen it in the Nations League, because he has received a good amount of playing time, I would say, over the last, 6-8 months for this Netherlands team. So for sure, Gakpo is absolutely in the running for a starting position right underneath a front two. But again, I could see Van Gaal going with just a more experienced player, 30-year-old Steven Berghuis, who is just as technical, not as dynamic for sure, but has also plied his trade in the Netherlands and has proven his worth over the last 6 years now.
Yeah, he's gone a lot with Klaassen in that 10 role. He likes him there a lot, and it's another Ajax player. So I could see him definitely just picking him over Gakpo, but I wonder if there'd be a bit of an outburst from Netherlands fans giving the form of Gakpo right now.
Yeah, at the very least, Gakpo's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
There's no way you can't use his impetus or his energy off the bench if he's not starting. So at the very least, we're going to see him in some way or another at this tournament.
I am a little concerned, though, when I compare the offensive quality that Netherlands has to, the Brazils of this tournament, the Frances of this tournament.
Absolutely.
Given that they are good players. I would rate these guys 8, 9s out of 10, but Brazil's got straight 10s, man, straight dimes.
Yeah.
France has fucking 11s, man, with Mbappe.
Yeah.
Argentina, man, with Messi up top. Does Netherlands have enough up front to be able to compete with the top teams in the World Cup? Personally, I actually don't think they do. I think that when it comes to this Dutch team, their biggest weakness, and not that it is this huge flaw, but I do think it's their weakest point, is their offense. I just wonder. I wonder if when it comes down to defining whether Netherlands can make it past that quarterfinal, if they're facing against an Argentina team, do they have the offensive prowess to be able to beat a team like Argentina?
Yeah, I actually completely agree. I'll take it just a tiny step further and say it is a weakness. For me, it is an apparent weakness, their offensive line. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at what they've had in the past, I'll specifically use 2014 as an example. Robin van Persie. I mean, a true legend in that number 9 position. And when you look what they have up top now, for me, it's not even close, man. It's not even close. Let's say Van Gaal does go with Depay. I'd argue, has Depay ever really been in form? Like his entire career? Like, has he ever really been in form? He's a good player. Absolutely. Yeah. He's a good player.
I think in the summer, he's in his form when he's playing against like MLS teams and shit.
Exactly. That's another thing. Extending on Depay, he's not really in that good of form right now at Barcelona, man. Tried to get the move, I think, to Juventus, which I thought would have been a good move for him. I don't think it was able to actually follow through. So he's just kind of getting bench minutes or rotation minutes at Barcelona right now. And when he does get on the pitch, looks a little indifferent, honestly. I don't blame him. I mean, if the club doesn't really want you there, do you want to play your best? Probably not. So yeah, that's a little concerning, absolutely. And then when you look who's beside him, Bergwijn, again, a really good player. Honestly, very
better.
Yeah, very similar to Depay in the sense that like club career-wise, it hasn't necessarily panned out for him. Tried Tottenham for a couple years. Just straight up really didn't work out, honestly. Couldn't figure out the Premier League. Couldn't figure out how to mesh himself with that Tottenham Hotspur team. Doing good back in the Netherlands, which is where he really does thrive. But that's the thing. If you can only thrive in the Netherlands, I do think that's a flaw in your game. And then when you look at who could potentially replace any of them, it's pretty much the same story, man. Vincent Janssen. Couldn't cut it in Monterrey, man. I mean, he was never really the number 9.
Vincent, bro.
Always behind Rogelio Funes Mori. But still, Janssen's still a good player. Good enough to actually feature at this World Cup. That's the thing. I'm pretty much saying the same thing for every single Dutch forward in the sense that on the day, they can be very, very good and very effective. But overall, throughout their club career, have been pretty inconsistent. So when you compare that to what they've had in Robin van Persie in the past, it is an absolute downgrade for this Dutch team. But I do think that Van Gaal is aware of that. And I think that's why, honestly, they're playing really well because Van Gaal knows this. He says, look, I'm not going to play a traditional number 9, a 4-2-3-1. I'm not going to play a traditional 4-3-3 because we don't have a number 9 that's good enough to hold that position on his own. So instead, I'm going to play mobile players all throughout the pitch, and we're going to combine. We're going to link up. Even if Janssen does play, he's really good to hold the play. That is one thing he's very good at. So if he can just drop down to these midfielders, and then from there they can exploit open space, that's how this Dutch team is going to be successful. And for me, honestly, that's why this Dutch team is successful because they don't rely on just wing play. They don't rely on just their striker to be super effective and score 2 goals a game. They don't rely on a central attacking midfielder to just pull the strings for them. They rely on everybody.
Yeah.
Every single player does have some sort of responsibility for this team to actually be successful. And it's working, man. Van Gaal's got this team clicking, bro. Yeah, he's got this team clicking.
It's they're known as the Orange Machine, bro. They got different parts to make this whole thing move.
Exactly.
I mean it when I say it, man. I really do when I say if this team had Van Persie and Robin, title contenders.
Yeah.
Title fucking contenders, man.
Jesus.
You look at the defense. I haven't even talked about the defense.
Oh, the defense is
stacked. But if they had Robin van Persie and Arjen Robben starting for this team, it'd be curtains. It'd be curtains. I think this would be the fucking favorite. But what's amazing is that they don't. And they found a way. Bro, their record is incredible right now.
Yeah.
They haven't lost like in 10 games.
Yeah, man.
And they're playing really good teams. They destroyed their group in the Nations League, completely dominated, didn't lose a single game. And this is with teams like Belgium in it, teams like feisty teams like Poland, Wales.
Yeah.
Despite the offensive questions we have, I have to give it to him for being able to pull out results. The biggest, strongest point of this Dutch team, even with a somewhat shaky goalkeeper situation, is their defense.
Dude.
In my opinion, Netherlands will be coming into the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar with the best defense in the tournament.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, quality-wise, and depth-wise, man. Good fucking Lord, man.
Dude,
what an
insane.
Incredible depth they have up there. Let me throw some names.
These center backs, man.
These center backs. Louis van Gaal likes to go with the three at back setup.
Yeah.
For now, his favorites have been Nathan Ake on the left, Van Dijk in the middle, and Timber on the right.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is that if he just wants to shift one of these guys out, someone gets injured, someone's a little bit out of form, it's absolutely no problem. Could I entice you? Would you be interested in a De Ligt from Bayern Munich? Could I give you a De Vrij, perhaps, from Inter? Martins Indy. That's it. Yeah. Bro, we got names. I can keep going, man. Really, the biggest weakness back there would be the goalkeeper position because there isn't a player that is at the same level as those center backs. But we know that with goalkeepers, you don't really have to have the best goalkeeper in the world to be able to compete.
Yeah.
All you need is a little bit of solidity. And you have that in a guy like Pasveer, who's playing at Ajax now, starting for the team, a little bit on the older side, but found his way into that starting position there.
Bro, talk about a late bloomer, man. He just made his debut at 38 years of age last month.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? That gives me hope. Like, if I have 10 more years to figure out my life.
You got more than that, man. We really got something.
I'll be okay with that, man.
If you find the one weak position in your national team, you just work towards that shit for the next 10 years, maybe you could be the guy who fulfills that niche, man.
Yeah, man.
Fills that hole.
That's insane.
Hey, US might need a fullback, bro.
It's just crazy because, like, yes, even though Ajax are, I would say, having a pretty shaky Champions League, I don't think it's any fault of Pasveer's, to be honest, man. Because when I have seen him play, he looks to be a solid keeper. Yeah. And when he has the center backs that he has in front of him, he's going to be fine. Right. He's going to be absolutely fine. And if I'm Van Gaal, I absolutely trust him. And when you look at the rest of the goalkeeping situation, I don't know if you really play anybody else. I know Cillessen has been the number one for a while, but I feel like he's just been out of form ever since leaving Barcelona. He's a little washed.
Pasveer's in his prime right now, man.
He really is. And when the World Cup starts, he'll be 39.
Yeah,
it's insane,
good Lord,
bro.
Man.
Yeah, it's
That's
insane.
Crazy. I thought it was 36. Holy shit.
No, dude, yeah.
It blew my mind.
Crazy. Blows my mind.
You have the option of Flecken from Freiburg.
Sure. Yeah, I know Freiburg are flying high, but it's that Ajax contingency.
Exactly said that Ajax chemistry, man.
Yeah, which is I think probably why Timber's playing.
True.
You have options like De Vrij, for example, who is good for Inter Milan, but I think he just likes Timber simply because of that chemistry, man. And I think that goes a long way for Van Gaal.
Yeah, just a better fit, but it's just crazy the combinations you can make with that back line. And we've seen Van Gaal kind of test with it at times in like some friendlies and a couple Nations League games, like throwing De Ligt in there, De Vrij as well. But it's just crazy. They win no matter what. Even when they haven't played with Van Dijk at the back, they still find a way to win. Yeah. So I'm just like completely amazed. And if they had the offense from 2010, 2014 with this defense,
oh my God.
Curtains, man.
Yeah.
Curtains.
And what's crazy is that we've talked about other teams who, in a way, are very reliant on the performance of a particular center back that they have, right?
Oh, yeah.
As in that center back, how good they play will determine how good the whole team does. But for me, I don't think that's the case for this Netherlands team. I mean, we could say, if we wanted to, that Van Dijk is going to be the absolute leader of this team. And if he does poorly, then the Netherlands are going to lose. Or if he does really well, the Netherlands can go all the way. But I just don't think that's the case. Even though he is one of the best center backs in the world over the last, 4 years now? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Even though he's been that and he has that label, and rightfully so, Netherlands don't need him to play at his best to be successful, which is crazy because he has so much coverage. And the coverage that he does have is absolute class, man. I mean, look at Nathan Ake, bro. Nathan Ake is in the form of his life right now with Manchester City. He has fully grown into that Pep's pupil type of mentality, man. And he's just playing out of his mind right now. Defensively, very sound. But like I said, playing at Manchester City, so good on the ball, man. So impressive. And then we already talked about Dumfries, but I want to talk about him again, man. Dude, Dumfries reminds me of prime Dani Carvajal. No matter what, you get the ball to Dumfries, he's going to get past that defender. No matter what. And there are not a lot of fullbacks that actually have that ability. But what's crazy about Dumfries, though, also is it's just athletic ability, man. He can go up and down that pitch 50 times in a half, bro. In a half.
Yeah, man.
No matter
what. He's a track star.
Dude, he's a monster out there, bro. He's an absolute monster. But what has really impressed me about Dumfries is that usually when you have a player like Dumfries or like Carvajal, they're really athletic or they're really imposing physically, and that's what allows them to get past their players, but they always fall short maybe a little bit on their productivity or their output. And that's why there's only a couple of Carvajals in the whole global game of football, man. But Dumfries has surpassed and gone past that threshold because, dude, he's really precise at crossing now. He's really impressed me in this last year at Inter Milan because when he does get past that last defender, he's pinpoint with his accuracy now, man. And that's deadly. If Dumfries gets past you at the World Cup and there's 2-3 Dutch players in the box, start praying. Start praying, bro, because Dumfries has insane accuracy out on that right wing.
Yeah. Dumfries is a quality player.
Quality.
You described it perfectly. The effect that a really good wingback like that can have on a team, man. You sum it all up, you see all the parts that come together, and this Dutch team, to me, is a team that has the potential to go very, very far and has absolutely earned the label of dark horse. If anything, they're flirting with that line of being a title contender. They're flirting with it. They have taken that title out to a date, and they're thinking about maybe closing it out. They're flirting with it, man. This group is so interesting. To me, one of the funnest groups at the World Cup with host nation Qatar, a feisty, young Ecuadorian side, and then the best African team at this tournament, Senegal.
Yeah.
One hell of a group to be put into.
Yeah.
And Netherlands will be playing a big role of being the toughest team to defeat in this group. And so when I think about all the factors that come into play, when I see all these results, when I'm seeing all the numbers and how these things are playing out in the tournament, every time I calculate how Netherlands will perform in this group, I see nothing but ones, man. What if they tie Ecuador? What if Senegal gets a dub on them?
Yeah.
No matter what, I see Netherlands getting first in this group and getting out of Group A. Following that, I have them winning their knockout round of 16 match, which will be against second place in Group B, which is perhaps maybe USA, Iran, or Wales. I have them winning that match. I have Netherlands as a surefire top 8 team in the world, quarterfinals appearance, with the potential to perhaps go on an incredible semifinal run. Personally, if I got to say my prediction, though, if I'm thinking about it, man.
What you about to say?
I got Netherlands going out in the quarters, man.
Okay.
Got them going out in the quarters because I have Argentina going to the semifinal. Quarterfinal appearance, but that aside, they have the potential to go further and possibly even win the tournament if they win that matchup.
To quickly sum it up for me, this Dutch team is so complete. At the back, in that midfield, a little shaky up top, maybe, but I think Van Gaal is figuring out ways to kind of nullify that weakness, which is really smart on his part, honestly. Like at this point, Van Gaal should be the permanent Dutch coach until he's like 90 years old. And I don't think any Dutch person would complain, honestly. A great tactician, and he's not afraid to make big decisions come game day when it comes to squad selection, man. And I do respect that in Van Gaal, I really do. But this team is just playing on another level, man. As we've already put it, their form is absolutely incredible. But regardless of analysis, you can just see it with your eyes, man. That eye test, they're finding lanes that I don't really see a lot of other teams finding. They're playing dynamic football. A lot of triangles, man. There's a lot of geometry going out on that pitch, man.
Triangle offense.
Triangular offense, man. And I think that can go a long way. Add all that up, and I have very similar conclusions, man. First in Group A, and I think that's guaranteed for me. They will beat whoever they play in the round of 16, regardless of who it is. Even if it is, let's say, in England, I do think the Netherlands have the talent to beat pretty much any European team. I really do think they do. And if I go with the narrative that I've maintained throughout these deep dives, the Netherlands is the exact type of team that I have Argentina losing to. Mm-hmm. The exact type of team. So, based off of that, I have the Netherlands going to the semifinals of this World Cup. Yeah.
Oh,
I do.
That's nice to hear, though. That is.
And then from there, anything will happen. But I think surefire quarterfinals, and for me, in my eyes,
you got
a strong sense of I think this team can make it to the semifinals.
Oh my gosh, man, that's tasty right there. That's tasty.
Which is crazy, bro. Because 18 months ago, I was like, when I heard the word the Netherlands, I was like, they're growing right now. You know, they haven't made it a couple big tournaments lately. Obviously missing out on 2018 clearly. But even then, even with the team that they had 24 months ago, man, I just thought they were going to be a feisty team. But man, they're just playing so well right now. It's so hard for me to ignore. And I'm really appreciating the type of football that they're playing. And it's so entertaining. And I cannot wait to see what they do this tournament because, at least in my eyes, right, which is again, a small sample size, I have not seen a Dutch team play poorly at the World Cup.
You're right.
I just haven't.
You're right.
I haven't. So it's going to take a lot for this Dutch team to underperform. Just the way that they're playing, I don't see it happening. I don't.
Yeah. They got that. They got that clutch Dutch gene, man.
Dude, they do.
Yeah, they really do. They're big performers. And that is Netherlands, folks. Let us know, how far do you think this Dutch team will go? Will they make it out of Group A in first place? How far do you see them going? Will that Netherlands-Argentina matchup will happen? So make sure to subscribe to keep up with us with not just our deep dives, but our World Cup content as well. Till next time, guys. Peace.